Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 1 hour. The Indian government tables 2 bills in Parliament for holding simultaneous federal and provincial elections. Justin Trudeau's government in Canada is in disarray with calls for his ouster after sudden resignation by his finance minister. Germany goes into election mode for the 23rd of February next year after Chancellor Olaf Scholz loses a vote of confidence following a collapse of his coalition. And Team India escapes follow-on, reaches 252 for 9 at stumps on day 4 against Australia in the 3rd test at the Gabba. First up, India's Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal moved 2 bills in the lower house of Parliament which laid down a mechanism to hold simultaneous federal and state polls in the country. The opposition dubbed the draft laws as an attack on the basic structure of the constitution but failed in the numbers game as 269 MPs voted in favour and 198 against the introduction. DD India's Anil Thomas has the details.
The much-anticipated legislative bills aim for One Nation, One Election, the Constitution 129th Amendment Bill 2024 and the Union Territories Laws Amendment Bill 2024 have been introduced in the lower house of India's Parliament, the Lok Sabha. The bill aims to amend the Constitution and enable government's plan for holding simultaneous polls for Lok Sabha and state assemblies in a phased manner. After division voting took place in the lower house, 269 MPs voted in favour and 199 against the motion of introducing the bill in the house. India's Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal tabled these bills.
With your permission, I wish to move for leave to introduce the Union Territories Laws Amendment Bill 2024, further to amend the Government of Union Territories Act 1963, the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Act 1991, and the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. ये मैं आपकी अनुमति से आपसे लीव मांग रहा हूं.
Meanwhile, Manish Tiwari of the Congress, while initiating the discussion on the One Nation, One Election bill, urged the government to withdraw them, saying that the introduction, consideration of such bills is beyond legislative competence of this House.
The bills which have been moved by the Honourable Minister of Law and Justice, they need to be opposed ab initio, and the introduction of those bills have to be stopped.
Many regional parties like the DMK, Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray and NCP Sharad Pawar recommended the bill be sent to the JPC.
The government can take up the matter with JPC so that it can be discussed there and bring back the bill to the House.
Request the Honourable, the Government of India, either to withdraw the bill or send it to a joint parliamentary committee so we have a detailed discussion.
India's Home Minister Amit Shah said that Prime Minister Modi has shown interest in the bill to be moved to the Joint Parliamentary Committee, and based on the JPC report, the bill will be discussed again in the House. The report is submitted.
जब संविधान सुधार का विधेयक संवैधानिक संशोधन जब कैबिनेट में चर्चा में आया, तब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्वयं मंशा व्यक्त करी थी कि इसको जेपीसी को देना चाहिए. इस पर विस्तृत चर्चा सभी स्तर पर होनी चाहिए.
Meanwhile, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla assured the members that JPC will enable members to widely discuss and debate the bills in their entirety, and when the bill comes to the House as well, members will be given more time to debate the bill.
JPC के समय व्यापक चर्चा होगी और सब दल के सदस्य होंगे, उसमें डिटेल चर्चा होगी और उसके बाद जब बिल आएगा उस समय आपको व्यापक चर्चा, आप जितने समय चाहोगे उतने घंटे आपको व्यापक चर्चा दी जाएगी.
The One Nation, One Election bill is finally introduced in the lower house. It leaves both the opposition as well as the government in a happy mood. the opposition has got assurance that this bill is likely to go to the JPC. For the government, it's been an effort to get this bill introduced, and they have successfully managed to do it in the first attempt. With camera person SP Dubey, Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
Now, day 2 of the debate, dubbed Glorious Journey of 75 Years of the Constitution of India, saw healthy deliberations in the upper house. Leader of the House, JP Nadda, opened the deliberations, while Union Home Minister Amit Shah completed the process. The two-day discussion did see some showdowns, but the upper house functioning smoothly has been the highlight of the week so far. DD India's Anil Thomas has the details.
Leader of the House and Union Minister JP Nadda criticized the Congress for its amendments to the preamble, the imposition of emergency and its role in the inclusion of Article 370. He remarked that even a good constitution can fail if those implementing it are not competent, asserting that a bad lot has interfered with the Indian constitution multiple times.
However bad the constitution may be, it may turn out to be good if those who are called to work it happen to be a good lot. मैं इसको इसलिए उद्धृत कर रहा हूं क्योंकि मेरे वक्तव्य में ये गुड लॉट और बैड लॉट बार-बार आने वाला है.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah in the Rajya Sabha countered the opposition's claims during the constitution debate. He stressed that the debate on the constitution is educative for the youth and the next generation, and he added that the roots of India's Samvidhan are very deep.
संविधान की दोनों सदन में जो चर्चा हुई है, वो चर्चा एक प्रकार से हमारे किशोरों के लिए, हमारी युवा पीढ़ी के लिए आने वाले दिनों में ये दोनों महान सदन में बैठकर देश का भविष्य का निर्णय करने वालों के लिए बहुत शिक्षणात्मक रहेगी, ऐसा मेरा मानना है.
Former Prime Minister and JDS leader H.D. Devagowda called upon Parliament to contemplate whether the reservation should continue to be given on the basis of caste or it should be changed to economic criteria.
The House itself has to apply its mind what all happened in the past, whether we should give reservation only on the basis of the poverty in this country who are suffering, even with all the reservations what we have given in the past, has not lifted the people who are still suffering 2 square meals a day. If the House thinks over and the leader thinks over, this can be thought over by the Honorable Prime Minister before taking any decision on the reservation.
The upper house saw the opposition and treasury benches get into a verbal duel after AAP leader Sanjay Singh's controversial remark, which was later expunged.
Well, logjam in the Rajya Sabha finally breaking with a two-day debate on the 75 years or 75 glorious years of the drafting of Indian Constitution. The bonhomie that one expected surely reflecting, and let's hope that this particular upbeat mood of discussions, deliberations and passing of bills is continued in the remaining 3 days in Parliament. With camera person SP Dubey, Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed on water harvesting and conservation of river water by interconnecting them. While dedicating a bouquet of infrastructure projects to the people of the western state of Rajasthan at a public rally in Jaipur, the PM congratulated the state government for successfully completing its first year in office. Vishal Baristo reports.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the Ek Varsh Parinam Utkarsh, that is, the completion of 1 year of the state government of Rajasthan program, on Monday. The chief ministers of 2 BJP-ruled states, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, were seen with a memorandum of agreement. With this, 21 districts of Rajasthan would be benefited with the waters of the Chambal River.
ये प्रोजेक्ट राजस्थान में पानी की चुनौती का स्थायी समाधान करेंगे. ये प्रोजेक्ट राजस्थान को देश के सबसे कनेक्टेड राज्यों में से एक बनाएंगे. इससे राजस्थान में निवेश को बल मिलेगा, रोजगार के अनगिनत अवसर बनेंगे, राजस्थान के टूरिज्म को, यहां के किसानों को, मेरे नौजवान साथियों को इससे बहुत फायदा होगा.
On this occasion, PM Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of different projects based on green energy, water, rail and roadways, worth more than 46,000 crore rupees or about $5.4 billion. PM Modi declared that with this inauguration, Rajasthan would be one of the most connected states of the country. Prime Minister said that the Bharatiya Janata Party government is committed to empowering women, youth, farmers and the downtrodden of the nation. He said that connecting the rivers of India was the vision of the former Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. But for many years, the Congress did not let this happen.
कांग्रेस कभी आपके जीवन से पानी की मुश्किलें कम नहीं करना चाहती. हमारी नदियों का पानी बहकर सीमा पार चला जाता था, लेकिन हमारे किसानों को इसका लाभ नहीं मिलता था. कांग्रेस समाधान के बजाय राज्यों के बीच जल विवाद को ही बढ़ावा देती रही.
PM Modi said that the nation exudes confidence in the BJP, and that is why not only in the states but also in the centre it has been voted to power for the third consecutive time. Prime Minister Modi also thanked the people of Rajasthan for reposing faith in the Bachchan Lal government of the state.
It was the vision of the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee that the rivers of the country should be connected. Today, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh have done it. If they can do it, why can't other state governments? This was the question that the Prime Minister asked here at the Jaipur rally. With cameraman Sanjay Jaina, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Turkey and EU promise support for Syria's reconstruction and return of refugees. Russia intensifies Kursk assaults, piles pressure in the east of Ukraine. And the EU investigates TikTok over Romania election allegations.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Germans will go to polls on the 23rd of February in the coming year after Chancellor Olaf Scholz's three-way coalition collapsed last month. The Chancellor asked for a vote of confidence on Monday and lost. More in this report.
Germany is set for new elections on February 23rd after Chancellor Olaf Scholz lost confidence vote. It marked the effective end of his troubled government. Scholz had called the vote weeks after his coalition collapsed. Later on Monday, he asked President Frank-Walter Steinmeier to dissolve the legislature soon and asked voters to head back to the ballot box.
We owe our citizens decency and seriousness, as I have already said, but the reason for my decision to end the coalition government was something else. It was caused by an even more important question, namely the question of whether and how we invest in our country.
Campaigning has kicked into gear after Scholz lost a confidence vote on Monday. Germany's main political parties are unveiling their manifestos. Details of the parties' election manifestos have already leaked out. with the economy, welfare, migration and the war in Ukraine dominating the headlines. The Conservative frontrunner Friedrich Merz and his Christian Democratic Union Party wants cuts to income and corporation taxes and lower electricity prices as a way to boost the economy.
Wir wollen in Deutschland einen Politikwechsel.
We want a change of policy in Germany. We want a change of policy in economic policy. We want a change of policy in security policy. And we want a change of policy in the way the state treats the citizens of our country.
Scholz lags badly in the polls behind Conservative opposition leader Friedrich Merz, who heads the Christian Democratic Union of ex-Chancellor Angela Merkel, although the centre-left Chancellor continues in a caretaker role and with the minority in Parliament. Coalition bickering over fiscal and economic woes came to a head when Scholz fired his rebellious FDP finance minister Christian Lindner on November 6th. The political turbulence has hit Germany as it struggles to revive a stuttering economy facing major geopolitical challenges, Russia-Ukraine conflict and heightened uncertainty over NATO after Donald Trump's win. Bureau Report, DD India.
And joining us for more on this is DW's correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin. Hello Chiponda, how are you doing? What's next for Germany now?
Thanks for having me. Well, Chancellor Olaf Scholz got the result that he and pretty much everyone here in Germany expected. And now the federal president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, has 21 days to make the decision on dissolving the parliament, so the German Bundestag. But we already know that he agreed to February 23rd as the date for the federal elections before the confidence vote was held. So it's pretty much procedural. Elections have to take place within the next 60 days. And February 23rd was agreed on by Chancellor Scholz and Friedrich Merz, the leader of the main opposition party, the Christian Democrats, mainly for logistical reasons. It will help the different parties in Germany to get their election programs together and, of course, also their campaigns. So Germany is expected to get into full swing election mode after the holidays in early January.
And Chiponda, where does all this leave Germany on the global stage?
Well, it's just over 8 weeks before the federal elections, and while the parliament is dissolved, the German government won't be able to make any key decisions. So Germany pretty much has a lame duck chancellor. And incoming US President Donald Trump has warned that he will introduce tariffs on European imports in the US, and of course that is something that could hurt Germany's exporters. Now, if we add the ongoing political chaos in France, the current situation in Europe doesn't bode very well for the EU to put up a strong response to a potential trade dispute with Washington. And that's because Germany and France are the motors of European policy. And of course, we also don't know how long it will take for a new government to be formed after the German federal elections. So there is a lot of uncertainty ahead.
Well, certainly, Chiponda, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your views about the predicament Germany finds itself in. Now, 9 days after Bashar al-Assad's ouster, Western nations, including France, the EU and Italy, are cautiously reopening diplomatic channels with Syria's new Islamist-led government, despite its continued designation as a terrorist entity. France raised its flag in Damascus after a 12-year embassy closure, signaling a shift towards engagement. However, European leaders emphasize the importance of preventing the rise of extremist groups and closely monitoring the treatment of minorities. Rabindra Chauhan reports.
9 days after Bashar al-Assad was ousted, Western countries are gradually opening channels to the new authorities in Damascus, led by the Islamist Hayat Tahrir al-Sham group, though they continue to designate it a terrorist group. France, a key early backer of the uprising, sent a delegation to Damascus on Tuesday with Special Envoy Jean-François Guillaume, saying his country was preparing to stand with Syrians during that transitional period. French flag was raised over France's embassy on Damascus Tuesday after 12 years of closure. The European Union is also reaching out to Syria's new leadership to reopen its delegation in the country. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen stated that Brussels would intensify its direct engagement with Syria's new Islamist-led rulers, but cautioned that the resurgence of Islamic State extremists in Syria must be prevented.
Indeed, we have always maintained our presence in Syria to support those in need, while respecting the principle no contact, no cooperation, no funding to the Assad regime. But now we have to step up and continue our direct engagement with HTS and other factions.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said her country is ready to engage with Syria's new leadership, but urged maximum caution, particularly over their treatment of Christians.
Italy, the only one of the G7 nations to have an open embassy in Damascus, is ready to engage with the new Syrian leadership, obviously in a context of shared assessments and actions with European and international partners. The first signs seem encouraging, but the maximum caution is needed.
Germany joined US, UK in making diplomatic contact with Syria's HTS, expanding Western contacts with the new administration. Iran said that its embassy in Syria would reopen once the necessary conditions are met. Iran's diplomatic mission was vandalized following the ouster of Tehran ally Bashar al-Assad.
The reopening of the embassy in Damascus requires preparation, the most important thing of which is ensuring safety and the security of the embassy and its staff. This issue is on the agenda and we will work on it as soon as the necessary conditions are provided on the security and the political fronts.
As the new Syrian administration steps up efforts to establish diplomatic relations, the road ahead on the economic front remains uncertain. Syrian caretaker Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir stated that Syria has very low foreign currency reserves. Syrians are facing soaring prices, a scarcity of essential goods, and high transportation costs due to a fuel shortage.
Why has transportation become expensive? Because we cannot secure diesel. The diesel has paralyzed our movement. If diesel was provided, the situation of passengers would be normal and very good.
As Western states gradually open channels to the new authorities in Damascus, the administration faces an economic crisis. The world is closely watching to see if Syria's new rulers can stabilize the country and avoid unleashing violent revenge after a 13-year civil war fought along sectarian and ethnic lines. Rabindra Chauhan reports for DD India.
A top Russian general accused by Ukraine of being responsible for the use of chemical weapons against Ukrainian troops was assassinated in Moscow by Ukraine's SBU intelligence service on Tuesday in the most high-profile killing of its kind. Russia has reacted sharply to the attack and said that Kyiv would face imminent revenge as fighting continues between the two neighbors for almost 3 years. Here's a detailed report.
The head of the Russian Army's Chemical Weapons Division was killed on Tuesday in a brazen attack in Moscow. Igor Kirillov was killed along with his assistant when an explosive device attached to a scooter went off outside an apartment building in southeastern Moscow. He was sanctioned by Britain in October over the alleged use of chemical weapons in Ukraine. Kiev, which had a day earlier charged Kirillov of committing war crimes, claimed responsibility for this attack. Russian investigation confirmed the killing of Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov.
According to the investigation, an explosive device was planted on Rezensky Prospect in Moscow, next to the entrance of a residential building. As a result of its detonation, on the morning of December 17th, the head of the Radiation, Chemical and Biological Protection Troops of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, Igor Kirillov, and his assistant were killed.
The attack took place in Moscow a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin claimed of Russian troops' successes in Ukraine and said that the army had seized 189 settlements in Ukraine so far in 2024.
The outgoing year has become significant in achieving the goal of a special military operation. With the professionalism and courage of our soldiers, the heroic work of employees of defense enterprises and the truly nationwide support for the Army and Navy, Russian troops firmly hold a strategic initiative along the front lines. Only during this year, 189 settlements have been liberated.
Russia's Security Council reacted sharply on the attack and said that the Ukrainian leadership would face imminent revenge for the killing of a top Russian general. The deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, said, realizing the inevitability of its military defeat, Ukraine launches cowardly and despicable strikes in peaceful cities. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry said it had liberated the village of Ganivka in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region, around 10 kilometers south of the resource-rich hub of Kurakhove. Ukrainian Air Force said on Tuesday that it downed 20 Russia-launched drones. NATO members have reiterated their support for Ukraine and said that there is no need to compromise.
I am proud to say that CEF countries will provide Ukraine with over 12 billion euros in military assistance 2025. Our united position remains clear. We strongly support Ukraine's pathway to NATO membership today and in the future.
However, US President-elect Donald Trump has suggested that he may reverse President Joe Biden's recent decision to allow Ukrainian forces to use American long-range weapons to strike deeper into Russian territory. Raghav Kumar Jha for DD India.
Cyclone Chido, the most powerful storm to ever strike Mayotte, has caused widespread destruction across the French island. The authorities have reported that the death toll could reach into thousands. After striking Mayotte, Cyclone Chido hit northern Mozambique, weakening into a tropical storm but still causing widespread havoc. DD India's Rahul Padhyay brings us more.
These disturbing visuals of destruction caused by the most powerful cyclone that hit the territory of just over 300,000 people in at least 90 years show flattened neighborhoods, knocked out electrical grids, damaged hospitals and schools, and the destruction of the airport's control tower in the French Indian Ocean archipelago of Mayotte. French President Emmanuel Macron announced on X he would head to Mayotte Island after meeting with outgoing ministers and emergency and security officers to discuss the response to the aftermath of a devastating cyclone. Macron assured emergency measures were in place to assist the affected communities. Meanwhile, France's outgoing Interior Minister announced that a curfew would go into effect on Tuesday night from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. local time.
Without a doubt, we have to start thinking about reconstruction very quickly. We are still in an emergency. We are, of course, still in an emergency, but we must very quickly plan for reconstruction. It will be necessary.
Emergency workers in Mayotte, France's poorest overseas territory, search for survivors and work to restore services after the worst cyclone in nearly a century. Mayotte, that lies between Madagascar and Mozambique in the Indian Ocean, has long struggled with poverty, gang violence and social unrest, with most of its population living below the French poverty line.
We have prepared a first batch of 30 tons of equipment for Mayotte. Here we have tarpaulins to cover the roof of houses. We also have kits for rebuilding homes, which are tools, shovels, picks, spikes and hammers.
After striking France's Mayotte, Cyclone Chido hit northern Mozambique, weakening into a tropical storm but still destroying several houses. The Emergency Relief Coordinator has allocated $4 million for Mozambique's humanitarian response. Extreme weather events have become more common around the globe in keeping with climate change. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday expressed deep sorrow over the devastation wrought by Cyclone Chido in Mayotte and assured France of India's unwavering support, offering all possible assistance. In a post on X, the Prime Minister wrote, and I quote, "Deeply saddened by the devastation caused by Cyclone Chido in Mayotte. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. I am confident that under President Emmanuel Macron's leadership, France will overcome this tragedy with resilience and resolve. India stands in solidarity with France and is ready to extend all possible assistance." Unquote. And still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll be speaking with our expert guests about the fate of Justin Trudeau as his government in Canada has been left in complete chaos after the resignation of his finance minister. Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya signs an MOU with Indian Navy to foster logistics training and research. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. And before we go any further, I'll look at our top stories. The Indian government tables 2 bills in Parliament for holding simultaneous federal and provincial elections. Justin Trudeau's government in Canada is in disarray with calls for his ouster after a sudden resignation by his finance minister. And Germany goes into election mode for the 23rd of February next year after Chancellor Olaf Scholz loses a vote of confidence following a collapse of his coalition. Now, Justin Trudeau's Liberal government in Canada has been left in complete disarray following the resignation of his Deputy and Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland, over economic differences and how to tackle Donald Trump's tariff hike threat. Freeland's resignation was swiftly followed by the quitting of the Housing Minister, although the Canadian Prime Minister wasted no time in appointing Freeland's replacement. Trudeau's popularity has been plummeting in recent times, and the latest debacle has only led to mounting pressure on him to quit before elections are due next year.
A wry admission by Justin Trudeau at a party fundraiser soon after the resignation of his Deputy and Finance Minister. Chrystia Freeland quit suddenly on Monday over a policy clash with her Prime Minister, dismissing his plans for increased spending as political gimmicks. She quit just hours before she was due to present a fall economic update to Parliament, which saw Canada overshoot its annual fiscal deficit target by 22 billion Canadian dollars. Reports say Freeland and Trudeau had clashed over his plans to replace her, as there were differences over a government proposal for temporary tax breaks and other spending measures in response to the 25% tariff hike threat by US President-elect Donald Trump. Freeland tweeted her resignation letter saying, "Our country today faces a grave challenge. The incoming administration in the United States is pursuing a policy of aggressive economic nationalism, including a threat of 25% tariffs. We need to take that threat extremely seriously. That means keeping our fiscal powder dry today so we have the reserves we may need for the coming tariff war." Trudeau was quick to appoint Freeland's replacement, giving the finance portfolio to his public safety minister, Dominic LeBlanc, a trusted member of his inner circle who had also travelled with him to talk to Trump at Mar-a-Lago following his tariff threat, which jeopardizes 75% of Canada's exports.
I was at the dinner at Mar-a-Lago 2.5 weeks ago and saw 2 leaders focused on a number of priorities, both in the Canada-US context, but talking about global issues as well. Those are the issues that I'll work on very happily with our American counterparts once they're sworn in.
Canada's leader of opposition and Trudeau's main rival, Pierre Poilievre, who leads him in polls by 20 points, called for his immediate resignation.
The minister is resigning, the finance minister is resigning in the middle of an economic crisis, and a fifth of his Liberal caucus has lost confidence in him. Justin Trudeau has lost control, and yet he clings to power.
There were reports of a rising outcry within Trudeau's party that he should resign after his party MPs voiced support for his leadership on record.
Do you continue to support the Prime Minister?
I support our Prime Minister.
I support the Prime Minister.
Trudeau's political stock has been in steady decline due to the rising cost of living, housing hardships and immigration issues since COVID struck, followed by the Ukraine war. He has responded by increasing government spending and giving tax write-offs to Canadians, but his moves have not delivered the desired results. Allies like NDP's Jagmeet Singh too have now called for Trudeau to resign, but they are yet to withdraw support or call for an early election, which is due in October next year. Bureau Report, DD India.
Okay, let's talk about what lies ahead for Trudeau and Canada with our expert guest now. Ajay Bisaria joins us, former Indian High Commissioner to Canada. Good evening to you, Ambassador Bisaria. What do you make of what's happening in Canada and with Justin Trudeau? And it just seems that he's barely hanging on to his chair just because it seems that he perhaps feels that he's still got some unfinished business.
Well, as your report said rightly, that Trudeau is probably having his worst week in politics this week. His very close confidant and Deputy Chrystia Freeland, who was also Finance Minister, has resigned over policy differences, over what to do with Trump, over the fiscal deficit. But I think the political point here is that the government of Trudeau is now in free fall. He's trying to contain the damage, but the fact is that there is a very strong challenge from the Conservatives, that is Pierre Poilievre, to his Liberal government. His approval ratings are down. He faces a rebellion within his own Liberal establishment. And in a sense, his position is similar to what Biden's was. Biden was refusing to leave and wanted to lead the US and the Democrats to the next election. Trudeau wants to lead the Liberals to the next elections. And the writing is on the wall, and all his parliamentary colleagues and his Liberal establishment wants him to lead, because the chances of going over the line with him are very, very dim.
So do the Liberals feel that if they somehow manage to get rid of him as Prime Minister, they can still have a chance when it comes to, October is when the last point to which elections can be held off in Canada?
That's right. What Trudeau faces is 9 years of anti-incumbency. He's been in power for a long with very low approval ratings, and he is not giving much time for his potential successor to be known to the nation. So I think he faces a major crisis. My feeling is he will have to resign sooner rather than later, because the Liberal challenge to him will grow, and the Liberals will want him out, because with Trudeau, their chances of winning are negligible. With a successor, there may be a small chance, and they face a very, very strong challenge from the Conservatives and led by Pierre Poilievre. And therefore, I think, Trudeau will have to see the writing on the wall at some point, and to just to make way for a successor.
What, according to you, are the main reasons that Trudeau has been falling out of favor, especially in recent years, ever since COVID struck? Is it primarily the economy, or there are other reasons as well, and Donald Trump has only added to his misery?
Absolutely. It's a combination of factors. There's a lot to be said about misgovernance on the part of Trudeau personally. He will have to take the rap. And as Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister, pointed out in her resignation letter, that he's given to costly political gimmicks rather than real economic measures, gimmicks like giving out checks and doles and so on, whereas there is a serious fiscal deficit to take care of. And I think because of this, there is also a factor of Jagmeet Singh. who's the leader of the third largest party, the NDP, which has given outside support to Trudeau's minority government. And what Jagmeet Singh has asked for is Trudeau's resignation, but he is still not willing to vote in a no confidence motion which would bring down the government and bring up the elections. So I think at some point this whole house of cards will collapse, and there may be early elections next year. But Trudeau will have to realize the folly for himself, for his party, and for Canada of hanging on to power a little too long.
And where does that leave the 40 million people of Canada? Because right now, of course, they are facing economic hardships, but things might worsen if it stays the way things stand right now, with Donald Trump threatening that he will raise tariffs, 25% tariffs on all Canadian imports, and Canada exports 75% of its exports go to the US.
Absolutely. The US is the most critical partner for Canada. It's the southern neighbor. It's also its strongest ally historically. And to face that challenge from the US, Canada needs a strong and coherent government, which Trudeau is unable to provide. So I think that is a huge challenge which Canadians are conscious of. They feel they should get a strong government sooner rather than later. And Trudeau is not helping matters with some of the decisions that he's making, which are populist short-term rather than taking long-term Canadian interests into consideration.
So do you think that Canada is now entering a phase of highly divisive politics coming to the elections, up to the elections in October or even beyond that?
Yes, so I think some degree of coherence will come with the elections, but till the elections comes, till they are held, there will be a good deal of political chaos, because not only is Trudeau facing a huge challenge from the Conservative Party, it also faces a challenge, Trudeau's leadership faces a challenge from within his party. And that is going to get more serious. What happened on Monday with the resignation of Chrystia Freeland and the Housing Minister Sean Fraser, what that really means is that within the party there's a good deal of disaffection with his leadership, and they would like a change.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there and see what happens, what fate really holds for Canada and Justin Trudeau in the months to come. Thank you so much for joining us and talking about it, Ambassador Bisaria.
Thank you.
Now, the Revolution Nari Conference and Awards 2024 celebrated the remarkable contributions of women in agriculture. Former Minister of Women and Child Welfare Smriti Irani graced the occasion as a chief guest and addressed the audience, highlighting the pivotal role women play in shaping India's agricultural landscape. The event honored women achievers who have made significant strides in this sector, empowering rural communities and driving progress.
जिन महिलाओं को आपने आज इस एक छत के नीचे इकट्ठा किया है, ये महिलाएं आने वाली पीढ़ी को, हमारे समाज को और हमारे देश को एक बहुत बड़ा संदेश है कि असाधारण काम करने के लिए भारत की साधारण नारी ही काफी है.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making the news. The Indian Navy signed a memorandum of understanding with the Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya on Tuesday to enhance logistics training and collaboration. The MOU will help the university gain practical and operational insights from real-world experiences of the Indian Navy. India has become the third largest exporter of smartphones in the world. It was ranked 23rd in 2019. The country's smartphone exports crossed the $2.41 billion mark in November 2024. This marks a 92% growth compared to the $1.28 billion recorded in the same month last year. Zuhaib Khan, an artist from Uttar Pradesh's Amroha, paid tribute to the late tabla maestro Zakir Hussain by sketching a charcoal portrait of him. Zakir Hussain, one of the world's most remarkable musicians, passed away at the age of 73 in the US on Sunday. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Eco-Creativity Hackathon empowers young innovators.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. An Eco-Creativity and Innovation Hackathon brings together young minds, offering them a dynamic platform to unleash their potential. These children are coming up with bright and innovative ideas that could make a real difference in protecting our planet. DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj reports from New Delhi.
Welcome to Eco-Creativity and Innovation Hackathon, where innovation and creativity come together to generate eco-friendly solutions.
The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change organized the Eco-Creativity and Innovation Hackathon, national level showcase in New Delhi. This unique initiative aligns itself with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Mission Life campaign, which emphasizes sustainable and mindful living. Leena Nandan, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, graced the occasion and appreciated how children came up with new and innovative ideas.
It is so energizing and so inspiring to see the kind of innovation and inventive, the curiosity of the child. I think we must constantly have these kind of events because it's a very good practical learning. So in our educational systems, the children are learning so much of theory, but when they apply it, when they put their thoughts into these kind of ideas, come out with these solutions, then not only does it embed the sustainability in them, for a long time it inspires all their other peers and colleagues.
A hackathon was launched in June 2024, supported by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change under its Environment Education Program that aimed to inspire young minds to tackle local environmental issues creatively through technology and innovation. It witnessed an overwhelming participation from children and youth. Top 5 student ideas were announced at the event and felicitated along with top 5 teachers and top 5 state-level nodal agencies for motivating and mobilizing students for participation in this competition.
I am also very happy for getting a chance in participating in a competition like this, and was very happy with all the contacts I got.
I secured second position in National Eco-Creativity Hackathon today at Showcase at Delhi. I am very thankful to Almighty Allah and my mentors and the Paijam Foundation.
Initiatives like these provide a platform for young minds to come together, blending creativity with innovation to shape a more sustainable and promising future. Siddharth Bharadwaj report for DD India.
Now, Assam, with its vast network of rivers, is prone to natural disasters like floods and erosion. The flood-prone area of the country as a whole stands at about 10.2% of the total area. But flood-prone area of Assam is 39.58% of the state's total area. This year, an embankment in Hatibodha area was breached in Tengakhat, a small town in Dibrugarh, leading to massive bank erosion. A detailed report by our correspondent Subina Roy from the remote village of Dihingkinar, Nepali Gaon, where the villagers talk about their concerns.
Buridihing is one of the largest tributaries of Brahmaputra, which is about 380 kilometers. It originates in the Patkai Hills in eastern Himalayas and flows through Upper Assam. Tengakhat is one of the small towns in Dibrugarh district through which flows Buridihing. The Buridihing meanders across the valleys of Tengakhat and nourishes its soil, which yields good paddy cultivation as well as various types of crops. Vegetables produced in the villages of Tengakhat find good markets in places like Dibrugarh, Duliajan and Tinsukia. However, now due to the onslaught of erosion, villagers are losing their fertile land at a rapid pace, which has now become a major concern for them. Facing such dire consequences resulting from river erosion, the villagers have formed a local committee called Tengakhat Hatibonda Flood and Erosion Resistance and Embankment Protection Samiti and are taking up some anti-erosion measures by themselves.
Some of the measures have been taken by the Water Resources Department. They are in the pipeline and some projects are being prepared with assistance from like World Bank. And also there is a major proposal to create several embankments across the Buridihing River right from Margherita till Khwang area through funding from Asian Development Bank. These are some of the mega projects which are in the pipeline. But the villagers here of the concern that they have only just 2 months time now, that we are in mid-December now, only January and February is left. From March onwards it starts raining here. So they want these measures to be implemented in a time-bound manner and at the earliest.
Accordingly, villagers have started putting up bamboo porcupines in a bid to arrest the problem of erosion. According to the villagers, their efforts are showing some encouraging results. Senior citizens and villagers are now urging the government to expedite the process of implementation of anti-erosion schemes so that the villagers in the area get permanent protection from the problem of massive erosion before the rainy season finally begins.
So as you can see that 40% of the area of Assam is a flood prone area, and the villages out here near the Buridihing river in Tengakhat area, they want that this is the dry season and it's just 2 months, the flood season is just 2 months away. So before the flood season arrives, the villagers want that proper actions be taken, anti-erosion measures, so that the village, this agrarian, this fertile village can be saved. We dedicate Dibrugarh team, Subina Roy, DT India.
Now let's get you some sporting updates as well. India ended day 4 of the third Border Gavaskar Test match on 252 for 9, avoiding follow-on and heading into day 5. KL Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja's 50s along with tailenders Jasprit Bumrah and Akashdeep's heroics helped India avoid the follow-on the 4th day. Jadeja led the charge in the 2nd and 3rd session before getting dismissed for 77. Nathan Lyon had taken his first wicket of this match as he removed the top-scoring KL Rahul for 84. India's captain Rohit Sharma, meanwhile, couldn't extend his stay in the middle as he departed after adding just 10 runs to the team's total. Rohan Jaitley has been appointed as the Delhi District Cricket Association's president for another term, beating former Indian cricketer Kirti Azad in an election. The 35-year-old Jaitley secured 1,577 votes compared to Azad's 777. DD India's Abhishek Mahajan spoke to Jaitley after his win.
So Rohan Jaitley has been re-elected as DDCA president and is with us. Welcome Rohan, welcome to DD India and congratulations. And the victory has been quite convincing.
Thank you. So what has happened is that the elections just got over and we'd gone back to our members with a mandate for continuance of the development that we've been doing. And it's an outstanding mandate that has been given to us for continuance of our agenda and our purpose for making sure that the ecosystem becomes more friendly and ensures that every single player who has the potential in him to represent is given the facility to make sure that he does.
So what will be your focus in the next term?
See, we are more focused on making sure that a gap between academies, clubs, or a lot of grassroots level cricket is improved. A lot of school tournaments are initiated in the city. Apart from that, our intent to make sure that a new cricket stadium is started in the city is going to be explored, and also the pending upgrades for the existing infrastructure in the present stadium.
Do you also think that there is any scope of improvement, and if there is, are you open to it?
See, improvement is always there. We always come across things and we always improvise on them, and we're always open to suggestions and that improve the functioning of an ecosystem.
And what do you want to tell people who supported you?
Thank you for your mandate. It's my honor to be given the opportunity to serve again, and I will make sure that everything is committed that we have committed to is completed within a stipulated time-bound manner.
Now, chess has been on an upward trajectory in India since D. Gukesh defeated China's Ding Liren in Singapore at the World Chess Championship 2024 last week. Gukesh became the youngest world champion, breaking the long-standing record of Russian great Garry Kasparov. The newly crowned world champion Gukesh held a celebratory roadshow in Chennai on Tuesday. Excited fans gathered in the streets to cheer for the young chess prodigy. And Chief Minister of India's southern state of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, also facilitated World Chess Champion D. Gukesh on Tuesday. The facilitation ceremony was also attended by chess legend Vishwanathan Anand. While addressing the gathering, Gukesh said that becoming the world champion has always been his dream.
For me to be standing here and as the 18th and the youngest world chess champion in history it has been my dream, and I feel extreme gratitude to everyone. You know, Chennai has proudly earned the title of the capital of Indian chess, and I think it's also very safe to say that Chennai, in many terms, is also one of the best cities in the world of chess.
We certainly wish all the more success to D. Gukesh in the coming days. Now, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platforms. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour. For all the latest, keep watching DD India.